And welcome into the Xtra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM, online at WEGLFM.com. You can also catch us on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6 on campus, or EagleEyeAuburn.com. Brooks, I need you to cheer up. For the love of God. It's okay.
It's not okay.
Look, the weekend may not have gone as planned, but we get to go back to Atlanta. And then after that, back to Atlanta again. It'll be okay.
It's not okay.
But a lot to talk about. Obviously, the SEC championship game this past Saturday inside Mercedes-Benz. That was a very nice stadium. I kind of wish that they cleaned up the rubble from the Georgia Dome, but it's whatever. Can't complain too much. The college football playoffs, the top 4 teams revealed. That was both exciting and frustrating for a lot of people. In the NFL, Ben McAdoo and GM out for the New York Giants. So a lot of things going on over in New York. Gronk made a bonehead play.
Ben McAdoo to the pit of misery.
Dilly dilly.
Dilly dilly.
All right. That's enough. That's enough of that. And it's just an exciting time. For us, this is the last week of school before finals. So, are you feeling the energy, the excitement right now?
No, I'm feeling the stress. I'm feeling the depression.
Well, there's not much I can do for you on that one.
All by myself.
But let's turn to the college football playoffs. Let's talk about the top 4. Let's talk about Clemson, Oklahoma, Georgia, and yes, Alabama. We talked about it out there in the suite for about an hour before coming into the show. We talked about it all last week. Brooks, why did the committee pick Alabama over Ohio State? And that's how we will open up our show today.
Why do I think they picked them?
Yeah.
Name. You put a name brand in there. I mean, you could have gotten a name brand either way with Ohio State or Alabama, but you get a name brand, a one-loss name brand over a conference. It's hard to describe their thought process. The only thing I can think of is a name brand, put Alabama in. Their one loss is better than Ohio State. One of Ohio State's loss. So they had a 2-loss to Oklahoma, which is a playoff team, and
the Iowa
loss
hurt them pretty bad.
So that's the only thing I can think of, because Ohio State was the conference champion.
Honestly, I just think we overthink things, We take everything that the committee says that is important, and we try to pick at it and put it in an order like conference champ. Like the committee, yes, they said they emphasize conference champions and they emphasize strength of schedule and all that. And every time we talk about it, we try to put it in an order. But at the end of the day, I think simply you just put in the best 4 teams. Like,
yeah, 2 conferences got left out altogether.
Like, yeah, conference championships, that's important, but that's not end-all, be-all, We've seen that before. We saw it last year. Penn State was the Big Ten champion, but here comes Ohio State marching in. And I think we need to drop the perception of this is the criteria that the committee's following. This is what they're emphasizing first, second, third, fourth. Forget all that. Forget that for a moment. I want you to name the top 4 teams in order based on what you've seen today, based on what you've seen up to this point. And honestly, when I was naming those 4 teams, and I named in order Clemson, Oklahoma, and then Georgia. Actually, I had Oklahoma flipped. I had Oklahoma, Clemson, Georgia. When you get to that 4th spot, it was down between Alabama and Ohio State. There were no other teams in that running, you can make the argument for USC, but in my mind,
A lot of USC fans tried to make that argument yesterday.
in my mind, yeah, you could make the argument. I wouldn't be against, pondering USC for a moment, but I think it came down to Ohio State and Alabama. And if you ask me which one's better, well, Ohio State didn't wow me with their championship win. The game was pretty mellow for that, for that part. My favorite part was Eric trying to fix the field when it got tore up. He's a man.
That was great.
That was great. Brooks, we watched it on the drive back from Atlanta on my phone. We had the game streaming. That was like a 10-minute thing.
It felt longer than 10 minutes though. That was something. I've never seen turf do that.
And if you're asking me to put in the top 10, or I'm sorry, the top 4 teams,
I'm putting in Eric on my 4th team.
you gotta put in Eric.
Eric's got to be up there.
If you're naming top 4 teams, it's a down between Alabama and Ohio State. And Ohio State, the Iowa loss hurt them, and their Big Ten championship. I mean, yeah, they beat undefeated Wisconsin, but it just wasn't enough. And you're probably right. Alabama's name, what they've done, plays into it. But that's just the benefit of the doubt you get when you win like Alabama does. That's just what you've been accustomed to. So it is what it is. Clemson will play Alabama. Georgia will play Oklahoma. Fun fact, Georgia has never played Oklahoma. And this will be the first time they ever play.
Really?
In the Rose Bowl.
That's interesting.
It's very interesting. It's kind of funny how a lot of the talk is around Alabama and Ohio State, but nobody's really talking about Georgia or Clemson. Like, that is a good game. It's the first one in their history. They've never played each other, and they're going to play inside the iconic Rose Bowl. So I think that is something. That's something that we want to watch.
I mean, obviously, it's in the any Rose Bowl game you want to watch. It's the granddaddy of them all.
And then you have the Alabama-Clemson rematch, 3rd time in a row they've met in the college football playoffs. I see you're pulling up the Georgia-Oklahoma.
You're right. They have never played each other.
And they've never played each other. Thank you, Reddit, for that one. So pull up Alabama-Clemson. I know. I think Clemson has the advantage all time.
Alabama's 13-4 against Clemson.
Never mind, I lied. But Clemson has the advantage, last year. So that's something.
Yeah. Well, last year was the first time they'd beaten Alabama since 1905.
That's solid. So the Cubs having won the first World Series before their drought started. That was the last time Clemson beat Alabama. That's great. But looking at the college football playoffs, look, a lot of the people that we're talking to currently are Auburn fans. I should point out that, look, forget everything. I know they're your rivals, but these are some good college football games. These bowl games, have you seen the bowl schedule, Brooks?
I mean, I was on the bowl special yesterday, so yeah, I kind of did see it.
You were on the bowl special that you can watch if you go over to Eagle Eye TV Channel 6 and go to their YouTube page, and you'll be able to watch the bowl special.
Some quality content.
You were on there. I hope you name dropped us, the Xtra Point.
I used our Twitter, so our logo was on our screen at all times.
See, there you go. Getting us that brand recognition at the Xtra_Point if you want to follow us on Twitter. But you've seen a couple of the bowl games. Talking to Noah Gardner, he is live currently over on ESPN 106.7.
No, we don't want to promote him. Don't promote that station.
And co-host of the Lunch Break.
No. Don't promote the station.
I have to. It's only right. He would do the same for us.
No, he wouldn't.
And we were looking at this bowl schedule. Brooks, this is the most interesting bowl schedule that I think we've seen this in a while. There are some quality games on there. Now, there are some games that I'm kind of iffy about. For example, FAU playing
I'm ready for that.
Hold up. So FAU they didn't really get a great bowl. They're playing in Boca Raton in their home stadium. And because I don't remember the name of the bowl game that they changed it to, can you please pull it up for me so you can read it off for me? Because they changed the name of the Boca Raton Bowl. it doesn't beat my favorite bowl, which is the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl.
I also plugged that one on the show yesterday. As they asked me to name my favorite bowls, and I named that as my absolute favorite name.
Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. You don't want to miss that. I don't even know who's playing in it, and honestly, I don't care.
All right, so the Boca Raton Bowl.
Here we go.
Is the, oh, good Lord, Cheribundi Tart Cherry Boca Raton Bowl.
Cheribundi.
I'm going to see what
Tart
this is.
Cherry.
I bet it's an alcoholic beverage.
I really hope so, because then that means we are teetering on what we can talk about on this show. But all that being said, the bowl schedule looks great. I love it.
Their slogan's "Discover the power of tart cherry juice." I think it's Is it a sports drink? It's a new sports drink.
I don't know, but I just got my headphone cut on the mic, so that's something.
I heard that. Yeah, it's like a sports deal because they've got a tart cherry drink. They got a protein drink.
It's all natural. Ooh, they have a 7-day challenge.
Discover the benefits of tart cherries by adding 1 8-ounce serving of Cheribundi tart cherry juice to your diet for 7 days in a row.
All right, we're quickly turning into an infomercial real quick. Let's get back to the bowl games.
No. No, we've got to delve.
No, stop it.
I'm going to see where I can buy this.
Let's dive into and bring up the, yes, I'm going to hit you. Dive up and bring up the New Year's Six Bowls. New Year's Six Bowls. So let's talk about the first one. Auburn versus UCF back in Atlanta for the Peach Bowl. That should be a really good game, especially, look, Group of 5 schools have a hard time getting to the college football playoffs. So this could be a good game to, I say put Group of 5 schools on the map. Fun fact as well, Group of 5 schools have won the last 3 of their 4 New Year's Six games. The only ones losing was last year, Western Michigan against Wisconsin. So that's kind of a scary stat when you think about it. Are you still looking up where to find that?
I'm trying to see where we can buy it around here. I may go try it.
If you don't go pull up those New Year's Six Bowls.
They're up, Jared.
Okay, so tell me the other ones. Come on. I know in the Orange Bowl, we have Miami and Wisconsin.
Yeah, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl is Ohio State, USC.
There we go.
Fiesta Bowl is Washington, Penn State. Orange Bowl, Wisconsin, Miami. Chick-fil-A is UCF, Auburn.
What were you about to say?
Auburn.
That's what I thought you were about to say.
And then the Rose Bowl, Georgia, Oklahoma. And the Sugar Bowl, Alabama versus Clemson.
And the championship is?
In Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Which day?
The Monday, the 8th of January.
And that'll be a couple of days before school starts. So we'll know national champion by the time we come right on back to classes next semester. And we'll know, where,
where to buy this Cheribundi cherry juice.
You need to get out of here with that. But college football, great. This coming up Saturday is the annual Army versus Navy game. Go Navy, beat Army.
Go Army, beat Navy?
I don't think so. But
I do.
I got to say, Auburn's had a better year this year than they usually do. This is the first time since I can't remember the year off the top of my head. It's the first time in a while they're going to have a better record than Navy going into this year. Out of all the military academy schools, Army was always the weakling compared to Navy and Air Force. I'm not going to throw in the Citadel because that's something that's different. But Army was considered the weakest of the three because, Navy's always been decently good. And then Air Force had those couple, that 1 or 2 years that they were ranked in the top 20 somewhere or in the top 25 somewhere. So this is good for Army. I don't think they ever got ranked, but this is good for them. What is the series?
The all-time record between the two is Navy is 60, 50, and 7 against Army.
That's good. So no matter what happens, go Navy, beat Army.
I want to point out 2 teams we've mentioned recently on the show. As in today, UCF, who Auburn's playing in the Peach Bowl, is the active win streak leader in all of college football with 12 in a row right now. Well, they're 12-0. And then second is FAU. They've won 9 games in a row. So what you're telling me right now is that FAU is going to have the lead by January 2nd. It's a good possibility.
You know what that means? Lane Kiffin's getting a job somewhere else. He might.
I don't know. I kind of like him at FAU.
I mean, that was a thing, going into... Oh, God. We got to talk about Tennessee after this.
Yes, we do. There's been some major developments.
Yeah, there's been some major developments with Tennessee. We'll talk that and more. Giants firing Ben McAdoo. and all that good stuff that happened in baseball, basketball, football, here on the Extra Point, here on WEGL 91.1 FM or online at WEGLFM.com.
This is a place where it only takes a second to imagine your future. Grasp a new concept in class. Inspire a child's curiosity. Discover a real-world solution. Seize an unexpected opportunity.
There goes Davis!
This is where you gain the preparation, confidence, and determination to succeed. This is Auburn.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
And welcome back to the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM, online at WEGLFM.com. You can also catch us on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6, or on EagleEyeAuburn.com, 12. That'll be noon tomorrow. You'll be able to watch us on video format. Brooks, wave to everybody on the camera.
Hey.
There you go. And if you also look, you can follow us on our Twitter at the Real Brooks C or at Jared_Dillard. If you want to follow us on the Extra Point, you can follow us at the Extra_Point on Twitter. What are you doing?
I'm telling them not to follow you.
Okay. If you wanna see everything that Brooks likes on Twitter, you can do that.
It's not as much as you say it is.
It is. You like every single
I do not.
thing.
You have not been on Twitter in a while then.
I'm never on Twitter. Everything that our show account tweets is you.
Yeah. And it's great.
On top of that,
All the latest in sports news from around the country and around the world.
on top of that,
Are you? What? You seem like you made a relevant.
I'm shaken by what I just witnessed.
What you picked up a mouse.
I picked up the mouse. It was missing the back, and I thought it only had one battery in it, and I was wondering why it's like still working. We're gonna have to complain to management.
Jared, you are management technically.
Knock on that window right there and get Victoria's attention, and so we can complain to management. Okay, back to more important things. Brooks, something that you did is if anybody doesn't know, there's a dumpster fire going on in Knoxville. They have hired an AD, Philip Fulmer. He is now the athletic director at Rocky Top. However, they're still searching for a head coach. One person has come into the fray for the head coaching job. And his name is Brooks Childress. Brooks.
Yes.
You sent in a resume to Tennessee to be head coaching.
I did.
To be the head coach of the football team.
I did.
So tell us, why do you think Tennessee's going to choose you over everybody else?
Who else do they have?
Good point. Good point.
We were waiting for computers to get fixed Friday. We waited in that lab for like 3.5 hours.
Remember, you waited in there. I was in Atlanta.
All right.
Yeah, I was in Atlanta.
All right. Anyway, we were waiting for the computers in this lab to get fixed for 3.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I joked about it last week. Like, I'm going to send in a resume.
Yeah.
I had joked about it on and off. I'm like, you know what? This is the perfect time. There's nothing for me to do. I'm going to write up a resume. So I emailed this resume to every senior member of the Tennessee Athletic Department, except for Philip Fulmer, because he didn't have an email yet. But I did include on the email to say, please forward to Philip Fulmer.
And what did end of the cover letter say?
Hold on. I'll read you the cover letter.
Oh, here we go. Everybody buckle in.
I said, "Dear University of Tennessee Athletics,
Good.
I'm interested in becoming the next head football coach for your program.
Good.
I believe that I can bring renewed life to this program.
Champions of life.
I have watched this program for many years and have not been impressed with it since the Philip Fulmer days.
Oh, see,
See?
I see what you're doing.
I want to bring that type of football back to this great program. I feel like I am qualified, and I feel like the players could really get behind me and my philosophy." Here's the selling point. Here's the selling
Here we
line.
go. Here we go. Right here.
I want Rocky Top to always be home sweet home to me. Thank you for your consideration.
That is wonderful. I teared up a little bit.
Now, my resume, it's not, I mean, at this point, it's got to look pretty good.
I mean, it has to. Cover letter. If they don't hire you after the cover letter, I don't know what they're doing.
So, you put an introductory paragraph at the top. I said, I try to be elite
Ooh.
in everything I do and make sure that in whatever project I undertake will have my full attention. I want to make sure that I have championship mentality and that everyone around me is always in the championship mentality.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
So I put that I've been a flag football head coach
You have been.
and I'm a sports coaching minor.
There you go. And what's your record in flag football?
3-0.
That's good enough. That's more
Two-
wins. That's more wins than has an SEC this year.
3-0 with 2 championships.
He has 2 rings. Not really. They're like ring pops, but he has 2 rings.
Don't bring up rings.
I'm sorry.
Anyway,
We're past Saturday.
I said I've got great public speaking skills. Got great skills with the media, obviously. I'm great at devising game plans and I handle stress well.
I mean, you're undefeated. Never lost.
Yeah. I just hope they email me back. Someone emails me back.
If you get an email back saying, even just saying thanks for the consideration, you officially were a candidate in that job. You can put that in itself on a resume.
Yeah.
Or you can be like Herm Edwards.
But he was an actual coach.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was for the Jets, but yeah.
Herm Edwards is now the new head coach of Arizona State. So another job filled. But what did Herm Edwards say on Twitter?
It wasn't on Twitter. It was in his introductory press conference.
Oh, okay.
He said that we're going to put up a lot of points on the scoreboard of life.
And then every Arizona State fan who has an inkling of what Tennessee went through just shuddered in their chair. They were like, oh, no. So that's great. I like it.
Don't die on me.
Oh, I don't know where that came from. But, okay, I'm ready. But there's still a couple of jobs that are still open. Tennessee's one. UCF technically is another. Scott Frost will be there for the bowl game against Auburn. However, he has taken the job at Nebraska. We haven't seen many dominoes fall yet. We did see this. So it was the University of Texas El Paso, UTEP. Their coach resigned right after their last game, and it was a funny quote. And I'm going to look it up so that way I can read it. But, Brooks, I want you to talk about your thoughts on what happened with Florida State and Jimbo Fisher. Because Florida State is also looking for a coach. And Jimbo Fisher was announced today as the new head coach of the Aggies.
I mean, I think it's a good move for the Aggies. Obviously, he's a good coach. He has championship background. He's won at Florida State. I think he saw it as a time to move on. Take another step in his coaching career. He obviously was not, over the past few years, he wasn't the top level he was one of the top programs in the ACC. But with Clemson and Miami coming up, he decided, I'm going to go somewhere where I can have more resources, compete more. He's getting a big paycheck. But I'm sure Florida State feels a little mad, betrayed that he left them. But I don't blame him for moving. that A&M job's not a bad job. And I think A&M's a better job than Florida State because A&M, you got a lot of money behind you. You can recruit well at A&M. You can also recruit well at Florida State, but you don't have the same level of boosters at Florida State as you do A&M. Now, Florida State, I think they're in a little predicament now. They have to find a new head coach where a lot of the big-name head coaches have gone or are off the market. What wouldn't be a bad hire would be maybe Kevin Sumlin. That wouldn't be a bad hire for them. Although it was reported yesterday that he may be in discussions with UCF. So that would be fun to see Kevin Sumlin go to UCF.
Yeah, I've heard about the Kevin Sumlin UCF stuff. I think that would be a good fit for him. Just like Charlie Strong went to South Florida after the whole Texas stuff started happening. And
yeah.
I think that, that would be the best move for UCF.
Yeah, because he knows that brand of offense. It's fast-paced spread offense. It'd be a way to get back on his feet after getting fired at A&M. It's just there's a lot of big coaching jobs coming open right now.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of big coaches to take those jobs. It's like everyone's pretty happy where they are right now. If you're not, you've been fired.
And there could be other jobs that come open depending on what happens with our bowl games, especially the 6-6 teams. But this has been one of the more, I guess, fun coaching carousels.
It's not over. It's not even close to being over yet.
And I don't know what Tennessee's going to do. I don't know what Florida State's going to have in mind.
Me.
And it's just the chaos. We talked about having chaos in the polls, and it's now dripped over into coaching.
Yes.
And now we don't know what's going on when it comes to who's getting hired and who's not.
Listen, I should be hired at Tennessee.
And then there's Arkansas. Arkansas doesn't know what they're doing either. I know Norvell's been thrown out there, and apparently he's a very strong candidate. I don't know if somebody was looking at Greg Schiano. They're not anymore.
I wouldn't look at Greg Schiano. I don't think he's a head coach that can lead a team to a championship. We had this argument last week. It's better to leave it in the past. But with that being said, we can go ahead and go to our next break. And Brooks, when we come back, we're going to talk about Giants head coach Ben McAdoo and GM being fired, and more in the NFL, like Gronk's boneheaded decisions. Or, hey, if you haven't noticed, in our... Please don't die, Jared. I'm sorry, Saturday's still getting to me. And when we come back, we can talk about, if you haven't noticed, we are in the playoffs for our fantasy football league. I don't think anyone's noticed, except for you. I've noticed. I showed you. Yeah. And there's a possibility that we could play each other in the championship. Talk all that and more when you come back on the Extra Point here on WGL 91.1 FM or online at WGLFM.com.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary. Hi, Smokey. Only you can prevent wildfires.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be tornado next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
And welcome back to the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I was looking for the quote from UTEP's coach, 'cause I know I was going to find it. I don't have when he resigned, but the interim coach said before the game against North Texas, which was last week, he said, quote, "This was harder than I thought." So, and then on top of that, I want to also point out that UTEP's basketball coach resigned after losing to Lamar. And he said, "This is the right time. I know it's the right time. Tim Floyd said I'm retiring, effective immediately." Right after losing to Lamar, it's the right time.
UTEP's got to find a lot of new coaches.
Brooks.
I don't want to go to UTEP.
It's El Paso.
I don't want to go to El Paso. I want to go to Knoxville.
Why?
Because it's a Power 5 program.
And UTEP is not?
No.
Excuse me. But the minors? Are you kidding me?
No. ESPN's giving me this notification. We were talking about the Florida State job earlier. Willie Taggart's apparently going to meet with Florida State officials today at some point.
And then that's going to leave Oregon open.
Maybe. I mean, there's no deal yet, they said.
But if he goes to Florida State, that leaves Oregon open. And what is Oregon going to go do? Chip, where are you at?
Scott, wait. No, we can't do Chip. Hey, Scott. Oh, wait.
Anybody. Hey, Tim.
I'll go to Oregon. Phil Knight, come coach us.
So let's talk about the NFL. Let's talk about Ben McAdoo. If you haven't heard the reports, Ben McAdoo has been fired as the head coach of the New York Giants. It was maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, we sat here and kind of squabbled at whose fault it was that the Giants were, let's not sugarcoat it, trash.
Yeah.
And they benched Geno. And did they win this week?
Maybe. No.
Nobody really cares, do they?
I think if they won this week, they wouldn't be starting Eli Manning.
Well, anyway, the Giants, oh, they didn't win. That's right. They did not win. So the Giants have fired Ben McAdoo, and it ended just how you thought it would after 28 regular season games. It gives them the lowest total of wins by a Giant head coach since 1930.
Ben McAdoo has been fired.
So the Giants are officially looking at to fill the vacancies for head coach and GM because they also fired their general manager. So I do want to go over a couple of points that I got on my phone during the break. So Giants owner John Mara says his very strong preference is to have a separate head coach and GM. However, he does not rule out a dual role if the candidate emerges. If the right candidate emerges. Mara says that both interim hires, so GM Kevin Abrams is the interim, and head coach Steve Spagnuolo. That may be a typo in there.
No, that's the guy's name.
I'm gonna continue. I'm thinking somebody else in my head. Will be interviewed for full-time jobs, and Reese was not responsible. So Reese was the GM for the Giants before he got fired. He was not responsible for the firing of Tom Coughlin, and he wasn't responsible for the hiring of Ben McAdoo. And when Coughlin was fired, Reese advocated for 2 candidates over McAdoo. That's interesting. That is interesting.
I mean, is anyone else? No one else has fired their head coach yet in the NFL, have they?
No. Mara says that McAdoo is the one who initially came up with the plan to bench Eli Manning via Josina Anderson of ESPN. And apparently management was not happy about benching Eli Manning.
I mean, I wouldn't be. To do a dual Super Bowl winning quarterback? Although, like I said in my argument a few weeks ago, Eli is part of the problem, I think. I don't think Eli's not in his prime anymore.
I think everything else is part of the problem.
And Odell Beckham coming in has been a Band-Aid, per se, on Eli Manning's career.
If you give Eli the offensive line, you give him the weapons, he's fine. They had neither one of those because of just poor management. They didn't have either one of those because of injuries, and it showed. Because I don't care how good a quarterback is, you can't throw any quarterback on that team and expect them to be good. And that's why the Giants lost last week or this past Sunday, because they threw in a quarterback and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna evaluate him." And what happened? You got your face smashed in. So, but things happen.
It's still, you can't rule Eli out completely. Eli's not in his prime anymore. He's not a quarterback that's going to lead you to a Super Bowl anymore, even with a good offensive line. It's time for them to start exploring options. It's not time for them to get rid of him yet, but it's time to start looking at getting a quarterback that can develop under him and then take over very soon.
I mean, that's fine, and you should always be doing that. I mean, that's what Tom Brady did. That's what Tony Romo did. I mean, you're supposed to be doing that all the time. But it's not near benching Eli Manning for, no.
Not benching him, no, because you don't have a valid starter underneath him. You have Geno Smith. He couldn't even start for the Jets.
And he got beat up. Literally.
They need, right now, this draft, they need to go out and find a good quarterback.
I heard Sam Darnold's available.
Maybe. He may stay in.
If the Browns have the Browns are going to have the first pick. I'm sorry. Unless the Browns trade their pick, they're going to have it. I'm sorry, Giants fan. I say you got to tank, but you can't tank better than the Browns. A+ on that front for the Browns.
I mean, I don't think anyone's better at tanking than the Browns.
I mean, 1-15 last year, 0-11 this year. They do a great job at this.
You got to tank.
The Colts, number 4 pick. They know how to tank.
Anyway, but I don't know if this was the right decision to fire McAdoo now. I would have waited till the end of the year.
No, I say, look.
Because you're not getting any better.
There's no point in keeping a coach around if you know you want him gone.
I mean, if you keep him around, you're not getting any better. You're not going to hire anyone as the new coach now. You're going to wait. They'll probably wait till the end of the year. I would be shocked if they hired someone now as their permanent
but you
coach.
You want to go ahead and start that search. Look, even if I was a head coach, if I know they don't want me after the year ends, go ahead and just terminate me.
I'd want them to keep me through the end of the year.
No, I do not want that because it's hard to go into work each and every day to coach these guys to win a game if you know you won't be there at the end. It's hard to do that. That's why, and this is going back to college football, that's why for a lot of guys, Scott Frost, for example, he's not getting fired, but for players in general, it's kind of hard to be motivated when you know the guy that you may have went to school for. You may have went to UCF because of Scott Frost, or the guy that you admire because he's taught you how to be a man. It's kind of hard to focus on a game when you know he's leaving at some point. On the flip side, for a guy who's been fired, I am telling you right now, and that's the reason why Tennessee got rid of Butcher Jones. If they knew he was gone, and boy, he was gone, I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. But if those players know that Butch Jones is getting fired, they don't care anymore. And obviously, we've realized that they don't care because they did not show up to games anymore mentally. So if I'm a coach, give me the respect that don't waste my time. It's not a money thing because you're going to get your money. Don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. If I'm not the guy and you want to move on now so I can go back and get my paycheck because I ain't mad. And that way you can start your search. That's all I'm saying.
I would, if I was a coach, I would want to stay on until the end of the year, even though you know you're going to be fired. I would still be like, hey, let me just end the year and then leave, because I'm not. If you're firing me, there's not a good chance I'm getting hired anywhere else. So I might as well work as long as I want.
Now, that being said, if you're in the final season of your contract and you know they're not going to renew you, yeah, run it out, because end your contract, because it looks better when you don't get fired. But if you just got into a new extension and you just stunk it up that year and you know you're getting fired, don't even keep me around. Just go ahead and end it. Go ahead and end it, man. I don't want to be around a team that I know I'm not going to coach, because it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. It's going to be hard to be motivated for games. So go ahead and cut me. Do it, coach.
I just don't know what they're not. The Giants aren't getting any better this year.
No,
they're not. They're going to get one of those top 5. They're going to get a top 5 pick. They're not getting any better. But
you evaluate what you have and you go from there. So I can't be mad at the Giants. That being said, I assumed Ben McAdoo would make it through the year, but he didn't. I'm not upset about the Giants for doing that.
I'm not going to argue with their managerial decisions. That if that's what they want,
and they got rid of their GM, so which says a lot. So
I can also see where
they're cleaning house.
Like you said, they go ahead and get started on their new search ahead of everyone else, so that they can have a chance to be like, hey, you're a good coach. Come coach for us instead of going, to them. Now you're like, you can interview people and be like, hey, come be our head coach. Look, there's no other options.
Because by the end of this week, we're gonna have a list of, coaches that they're gonna be interested in, and they're gonna be ahead of the game on everybody, and that's big. That's really big for the Giants, just being ahead of the curve. So I really can't complain about that. But with all that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And, Brooks, when we come back, we're going to talk about Rob Gronkowski and the kind of decisions that he made in that game yesterday and the impact that could have. You listen to the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM or online at WEGLFM.com.
I believe this is a practical world and that I can count only on what I earn. Therefore, I believe in work, hard work.
I believe in education, which gives me the knowledge to work wisely and trains my mind and my hands to work skillfully.
I believe in honesty and truthfulness, without which I cannot win the respect and confidence of my fellow men.
I believe in a sound mind, in a sound body, in a spirit that is not afraid, and in a clean sport that develops these qualities.
I believe in obedience to the law because it protects the rights of all. I believe in human touch, which cultivates sympathy with my fellow men and mutual helpfulness and brings happiness for all.
I believe in my country because it is a land of freedom and because it is my home, and that I can best serve that country by doing justly, loving mercy, and walking humbly with my God.
And because Auburn men and women believe in these things, I believe in Auburn and love it.
A promise was made. A promise that hit the beaches of Normandy. A covenant that split the skies over Berlin. A vow that captured Iwo Jima. A promise was made. A solemn oath that liberated Seoul. A sacred trust that defended Quezon. A pact that dug in Da Nang. A contract that weathered Tet. A promise was made. A pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq. A bond that patrolled door to door in Fallujah. An IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. A promise we all must keep. DAV fights for all veterans and their families so they get the health care, financial benefits, and support they earned. If you're a veteran who needs help or you'd like to help us keep the promise, visit DAV.org.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult and trying personal problems every day on my TV show, but there's one problem that's just got me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. That's 1 in 5 kids who may not know where their next meal is coming from, despite the fact that there's more than enough healthy, nutritious food out there to feed them all. Now, I don't know about you, but that is unacceptable to me. Luckily, the Feeding America network of good people is out there collecting surplus food and giving hope to hungry children and their families at local food banks all across the country. But let's face it, they can't do it without your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Sharing has never meant as much as it does now. We share the things we love most in life for the world to see. But what if we could actually do more with our sharing than just collect likes? What if this sharing could be used to make a difference? Now there's a place where we can put all that sharing to good use. The National MS Society is asking people to make a difference and share what they love with someone else who loves it too. Whether it's surfing, dancing, or whatever is important to you, we've created a place that'll help you get your experience out to the world. If you have a story, share it. If you have a solution, share that too. Join us at wearestrongerthanms.org, because together, we are stronger.
And welcome back to Xtra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM or online at WEGLFM.com. We only have a couple minutes left in the show, so we're going to quickly talk about what happened with Rob Gronkowski. During our break, thank you for calling in. I didn't even get your name. I'm so sorry about that. But he said one game. Brooks, I think we agree. One game is probably what's going to be for Gronk.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I am, as it's noted, I am a fan of what the Patriots do football-wise.
You're just a fan of the product they put on the field.
And I can't defend that. That was the most boneheaded play I've ever seen anyone do. Gronk's not the smartest of individuals, but I would have thought he had more sense than to do that.
Yeah.
And if the NFL came out today and said, "Hey, Gronk, you're suspended for a day," or not a day, a week, I'd say, all right, that's fine. If they said 2 weeks, I would still be on board with that. That was, I don't know what he was thinking. He was clearly on the ground. He's clearly out of bounds, and he just dove into him.
But yeah, I didn't see the play till a couple hours ago. This morning when I walked in, and I do my daily routine where I flip on ESPN.
Yeah,
when Gronk kind of stopped and stutter stepped, charge up, and then threw his shoulder in. I'm like, what were you thinking?
He wasn't. Like you said, he wasn't.
He wasn't. It doesn't help the reputation of what people think of the Patriots. Do you see what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
They
don't think of the Patriots as dirty players.
No. But if this suspension or this fine isn't what people think is fair, it's going to go back to the whole Patriots elite kind of thing. For example, the Tom Brady rule, which should be a rule. Quarterbacks, you got to protect their legs. I didn't like seeing that play against the Chiefs. I remember watching that live. I don't like seeing that. But going back to the whole, and it's mostly because they've won Super Bowls that people don't like the Patriots. And it's not going to help that stigma if a player who you could say is a high-profile player for the Patriots doesn't...
He is a high-profile player.
Doesn't...
He's on all the commercials.
He doesn't get the suspension or fine that people think he does. It's not going to help that perception. I hope I put that in a better wording. I kind of said that kind of weird at first. I hope I explained that better that time.
I mean, I don't know if this is going to hurt the Patriots' image or anything. Like,
no. But it's gonna come back to that preferential treatment.
It's just a boneheaded play that one player made. Like,
but we should also point out that player for the Bills is in concussion protocol.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
I did not know that.
Does that kind of change how you look at it a little bit?
Not particularly, because it was still a boneheaded play. He deserves to be suspended and maybe fined. But
I don't say and maybe. I think he should be fined.
It's at the NFL's discretion.
I think the fine comes first. The suspension could be the maybe part.
If you told me that, I think he will be suspended.
Yes.
Like I don't think the suspension's a maybe.
I think he gets
suspended. Both. I mean, it's a really good possibility he gets both.
Because out of all the things that we see the fines come out first, and then the suspension, and then the players kind of, try to get that levied down. Like, for example, what happened with the Raiders and the Broncos last week.
Yeah.
2 games, got it down to 1, both fined. It's the fine is going to happen. That's going to happen. He's going to get fined. It's a suspension that could be a little bit up in the air. I personally think it's locked in that he's going to get suspended. But, you never know these days. So, Brooks, that's going to do it for the show today.
Yeah.
You kind of don't feel any better about the landscape. Oh, well. There's not much.
Patriots still beat the Bills yesterday.
20-33?
Yeah. I got to put that into our Eagle Eye Sports Director's face.
Yes, Sarah.
She's a Bills fan.
Suck it, the Bills lost. I'll say that next time I see her. Hopefully she's out there right now. But that's going to do it for the Extra Point. To listen to us, you can listen to us. Wait, what did I just say?
To listen to us, you can listen to us.
To listen to us, you can catch up with us on our podcast on SoundCloud at WEGL 91.1 FM. If you want to watch us on video format, you can do that thanks to Eagle Eye TV on Eagle Eye TV Channel 6 on campus or eagleeyeauburn.com up at noon on Tuesdays, which is tomorrow. If you go straight to the YouTube page, you can watch us there as well.
I just want one final observation. The guy that called in, I'm just glad someone he called in. I didn't
people listen to us.
Now it gives me validation that people actually listen to us, and I'm happy. They may not agree with us and be like, hey, you guys are idiots, but I'm just glad we're recognized that we're an actual.
You know what? We should do that a lot more. So if you want to tweet at us about what to talk about next week or at any time, you want to respond to us, tweet at us at the extra_point. Or if we're up on the show again and you want to call in, you can call us at 334-844-9345. That's great.
Yeah. Maybe next week we'll get a lot of callers.
Maybe next week.
Not.
Hopefully the phones blow up.
Maybe.
And you can also listen to us on WEGL 91.1 FM or online at WEGL. I can't even do this right anymore.
WEGL. Is it WEGLauburn.com?
No, it is WEGLFM.com.
Okay.
Thank you, Brooks, for ruining us. We've lost all credibility right there. He's never going to call in again.
Nope.
But that'll do it for the show. Like always, same time, same place next week. We'll see you then.